What is up, guys? Stephen Jeffrey of SJ Relics, and today I want to take part in a series that Nate Calhoun does called What's in My Drawers. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is growing up, my dad had a knife drawer. We had a really long dresser, had the kind of micarta top or whatever it was, and you know, that real heavy built furniture of the 70s. Mirror on the back, mirror in the, you know, kind of centered, and the second drawer down, center, and the bottom drawer was just full of knives. That housed my dad's whole sum of his knife collection. A lot of fixed blades, folders from that time period, that late 70s, early 80s period. I would go in that drawer and just always look around. There was a really cool knife from the Philippines that my grandfather had brought back after being there with the military. Really cool knife. You could stab it in somebody, and when you pulled it off, the bamboo handle actually detached from it, and you would pull the knife out the back. It was gruesome and cool at the same time. My dad still has that knife. One day I will show that on the channel here. But I wanted to show a few knives. I've had his both of his knife rolls here for a couple of months, and I was kind of looking through them and checking things out. I'm getting ready to return those today, so I wanted to take a look at a few other knives in his collection. And two of the knives are knives that I remember and that he had for a long time. And one of those I was there when he purchased, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into these knives. The first two are really relevant to kind of what I was talking about with my dad's knife drawer. You know, seeing my dad and my granddad and you know, my mother's father, my granddaddy Crosby, and all the men in my life carried a pocket knife, and you know, always had a knife, whether it be a little gentleman's carry. Of course, there was the era of the wearing a sheath on your side, and you know, just all of that just is special to me, and it's definitely informed my love and passion for knives and knife collecting. So growing up, we went on our first, like one of our first probably big family vacations. This was after my mom had met and married my stepfather in 1979. And about 1982, we went to Cherokee, North Carolina, and Cherokee, Maggie Valley, that whole bit, Gatlinburg. And in Gatlinburg, there was a knife shop on the main drag there called Acorn Knife Shop. And of course, in the 80s, the butterfly knife ruled, and my dad purchased this. This is, if you notice, it has what we would now refer to lovingly as frost wood. I'm gonna adjust my camera here a little bit, as frost wood. And this one's not a real big knife. It's, you know, it's not huge in size as far as the butterfly knives go. Sorry, I've just bumped my table. About 4 1/4 closed, and cool knife, very well made. If anybody knows these knives, let me make sure I got the right side of it. Yeah, so you can fold it out. That's what made it special, and if you do that, you can get really fast with it, and it can be, you know, really a cool thing as far as you know, at that time we were watching a lot of kung fu movie reruns. We still, you know, my brother and I were still into Bruce Lee, and on Saturdays they would show Kung Fu Theater on channel 24 or 28. It was actually channel 28. It was our first Fox station. This was in the 80s, and we'd watch these kung fu movies, and then we would go in the yard and beat each other with sticks. And it was great time to grow up. It's when kids still use their imagination. So we would go out there and beat each other with sticks in the yard. butterfly knives ruled the day during that time. This one's interesting in the fact that it has a gut hook. Just a unique thing for that time, or it could be a seatbelt cutter. But cool thing, Taylor Brands. Taylor Brands is now owned by Smith & Wesson.
Taylor Brands, LLC was founded by Stuart Taylor in 1975, initially manufacturing knives in Asia, before acquiring the rights to Schrade and its classic Old Timer and Uncle Henry brands in 2004. In 2016, Taylor Brands was purchased by Smith & Wesson. Today, it serves as the official manufacturer and distributor for the Smith & Wesson and Schrade knife lines, continuing to produce knives under these well-known brands, with production centered in Asia.
But early on, Taylor Brands was made in Japan. Later on, they were made in China and Taiwan first and then China. And that's something I was talking about a few episodes ago, about you can kind of date a knife by what region of the world things were being made in at the time, cheaply. But at this time, this would have been early 80s. Taylor Brands started around, it was sometime, I think it was 1975, which I should know that, that's my birth year. I think they started in 1975. Again, they were made in Japan at this time till sometime later, and then, like I say, production shifted to Taiwan for many years, and then later China, and then that later became Taylor Brands as we know it. That produces Smith & Wesson knives. I think they produced Old Timer for a while, and you know, the rest is history. And people have argued back and forth about quality, but this knife is very sharp. You know, it's got that lock on the end here, brass liners, solidly made, beefy, wonderful, wonderful piece. You know, so if you put the knife here, you know, always be aware of where your blade is, and you can do that roll. But cool knife, one that I remember us getting on that trip from Acorn Knife Shop. Has that nunchuck karate feel of the time. Just a cool piece, and one that I've always been kind of keen on, kind of fond on. And this thing is very, very, very sharp. Again, this is when everything surgical steel. If it said surgical steel, it kind of ruled at the time. For some reason, everybody thought that was the newest and the greatest. But cool stuff. Awesome knife. I'll leave that open so you can see it. And the next knife is by Rhino Brands, and it was made in Japan as well. And this is probably about 1978. The bone on this looks a lot like the Frost knives that I got from Knife Doctor, though this overall knife is not the same quality. This is still a very cool knife. Kind of reminds me of the Bruin. For some reason, the blade and the blade shape. This says tough, sharp, and dependable. It's got the Rhino etch in there. Let me see if I can get that. And that is etched on top of the blade. It's not like in the blade. There's the Rhino tank stamp. On the back, there's made in Japan. Stainless. It's got, I think these are nickel silver bolsters. Not nickel silver, I'm talking about stainless steel bolsters. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to say nickel silver. Stainless steel, because they haven't tarnished or anything like that. I did wipe this knife down, and you know, just a cool knife. Very cool bone on this. Some sort of cow bone. But cool, solid knife. It's a back lock. Blade's pretty centered on it. Kind of favors the show side a little more, but not much. It's a cool knife, solidly made. I like it. I like the lock up on it. Again, one of my dad's knives early on. This, like I say, this was probably made about 1978, and this was somewhere in that 82 mark. This was a knife. Moving from that, this was a knife that I purchased for my dad, and it is a Edgeco from Italy, and very solidly made. Got that wicked blade there. It was it's a booger to sharpen, and this one was sharpened from the factory. Of course, it wasn't sharpened quite like this. This is probably kind of been in one of those automatic sharpeners a little bit, but cool knife. I love that bone on this. Just awesome, awesome looking stag, and that is stag on that. Look at that deep crevice there, and of course you can see here telltale signs of that being real stag there. Beautiful knife, nice amber color. I don't know if you can see that in this light, but just really nice amber tone. Again, this is edge mark. Solidly made knife. And it does, of course, release from the side here. I got to press the snookies out of that one. And there you go. It does have a half stop. It's kind of a weird half stop. It stops right here. But cool knife, cool piece. Wicked blade, there you go. Mangus, wicked blades here in real life. And of course it says Inox on the back, which is another telltale Italian feature there, you know, with the word Inox. But cool knife. I don't know that that'll totally fit on here. Let me turn it this way. This knife that I'm about to show, and this was a gift. I got this at Kmart. When I first moved to Beaufort, the coolest store in town to get knives was Kmart and Walmart. We had no hunting stores. Now we've got a few hardware stores that carry knives, and of course we've got Tractor Supply, things like that. But and we just got a Academy Sports, which they don't have a whole lot though, but they've got some Benchmades. But this is a very cool auto. It's a Ken Onion. I love the drop point on that blade. Ken Onion makes some really thoughtful designs. I really dig what he does. I knew my dad would like this knife. Of course, the wear on this, where the black wore off and really showed the design on that. I just think the more this knife has aged, the cooler it has looked. Of course, it's got a pocket clip. It's kind of unique how they did it to one side on this. Again, this is CRKT. I've been on a theme lately. This is a KA15KXP. So whatever that means. But again, cool knife, very nice action on it. Liner lock. Again, just right out of the box, sharp, and just very cool knife. And he carried that for a good while, so I was glad that I got it. And again, Kmart back in the day, early 2000s. This was something my dad ordered. He goes on there and orders from one of the websites online, and this kind of has that samurai sword feel in a very small package. This is wood. You can see the seam there where they put the two pieces of wood together. I thought that was really neat. It's wood and brass. It's very smooth coming out. You can see where they shaped it to the blade here. Awesome little blade profile. But just cool little knife. Kind of has a little bit of an upsweep here. This is Damascus. Yeah. So, because look at the back here. I'm gonna zoom in here. Let me see if I can get that to focus. You can see. Sorry, here. I'm gonna try to get it here. You can see the layers there, where they layered the steel. If it was not Damascus, of course, you wouldn't see, like I say, where they layered that up. And then also where the beveled edge is. You see in the light there how it reflects, and even after it's been sharpened, you can see the folds in the steel. So that's how you tell. Sometimes they'll etch these. They'll take a cheaper knife and they'll just laser etch some faux Damascus on there. But this one is real Damascus. Very sharp. Cool little knife. Some kind of dark wood. It's not varnished. Dark. It is probably some sort of rosewood, mahogany. So it's got some. It's light, but at the same time very balanced. You know, got some got some weight to it here, but not. It's a cool knife. I like it, but I just was kind of pulling some things out of his collection. I wanted to check those out and show them before I return that collection. I always love looking through his knife collection, because his collecting, though my collecting is informed by the things he's been into over the years, is just different things than of course I've been down the case rabbit hole, and I'm starting to buy a few moderns now, but I've been really on the traditional, collecting the knives that I saw of my youth, which has been, you know, Schrade and Buck and just knives that I remember going to Kmart and looking at, and or Western knives. That's another one, you know, going to Western Auto in my town and seeing the knife display, and just cool stuff, cool memories. But anyway, these are knives, like I say, some of these I remember as a child, and then these, two of these were gifts from me, and then one of these was one that he had purchased. But cool knives, and I just wanted to share them and talk about them. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. This is Stephen Jeffrey of SJ Relics saying, get out there, do something, and wherever you go, whatever you do, carry a good knife. Thank you, and God bless.